In this video, we're going to see how a REST service is consumed. Here, we have an OpenAPI to URL that gets a list of Ron Swanson quotes. We're going to copy this URL. Open the project in Graphite and create a new category called Services. In here, we're going to add a web service. We're going to call the web service Ron Swanson API. And since REST is already chosen, we simply click OK. And in this screen, we're going to paste the URL in the address field. Save. We're going to go to the Methods tab, add a method. We're going to choose the details of that method that the OpenAPI document provides. In this case, we see that this method is of type HTTP method get, and it returns text result in the list format, and it doesn't take any inputs. We're going to give the method getQuotes as the name, since it returns as a list. Next step is we're going to go to the view, which already has been created. If you see the view in the preview, you have an app bar in the header. You have an image, which is in the display area, called image area. There's our image, and then there's a button area, which is a display area, just so we can get a padding at the top of the button, so it's spaced out nicely. To this button area, I'm going to add a button panel. I'm going to rename the button panel to getQuote button panel. I'm going to change the side to be center so that the button is centered. Then here, I'm going to add a button to this button panel. And you can see that the button showed up in the middle. I'm going to call this button getQuote button. I'm going to give it a title called getQuote. That's it for now. And then finally, this display area, I'm going to add a heading. I'm going to call the heading quote heading, which is where we're going to display the quote. I'm going to choose a few things here. I'm going to set a color. I'm going to set the size of the font to be 22. Make it bold. And the importance set to 2. And I'm going to set the text to quote so that it does not show up as null here. That's pretty much our view. Next thing we're going to do is go back to the button properties and click on Add Behavior. As you can see, it creates a behavior called OnClick Quote button, which handles the click event of the button that we added. Here, I'm going to add a run web service shape to call the web service method that we've created. I double click on it. I see the web service that I set up. I choose it, and as you can see, the result is a list of text. I'm going to click OK. Next, we're going to add a list lookup shape to pick out just one quote out of the list of quotes that will return by the web service. Double click on it. It already has chosen it to find one item. Here, I'm going to put outputs for our web service, which is in list, and then I'm going to take one item out of that list. I'm going to name the variable oneQuote. Click OK. The final step is adding a page instruction to update the quote heading with the one quote that we picked out of the quote list. I'm going to choose the value page instruction. I'm going to update the element. I'm going to update the value of that element. Element happens to be the heading that we added onto the view called quote heading. And the value is one quote. Click OK and add an end shape. Save. I'm going to update the translations. I'm going to do a build, purge previous builds, build, let's run our application. There it is, a Ron Swanson quote.